لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا زدنا علما أجمعين وعلمنا الكتاب آمين. Okay. All right. So basically, what we're gonna do is try to do like a general overview, and what I'm gonna give you at the end of class or the end of before Isha is like a practice evaluation, so that you can go home and take it yourself. And the real evaluation, if you're going to be taking that, you don't have to, is that it'll be just based off of the practice. Okay. Um, so from the first lesson, what um, what did we say about? Oh, actually, let me start with this. Right. So always when we did the review, we said that there's three types of words in Arabic. Right. What are they? Nouns, verbs, and particles. Right? So there's three types of um, words that you can group things in Arabic, right? What do we call the nouns? Ism, right? And then what do we call the verbs? Fi'lun. And then what do we call the particles? Harf. Right? So these three, you basically make up the anything that you can have. You can just put it into one of these categories. Okay. Um, The first thing also that we learned was also that there's definite nouns, there's definite isms, and then there's indefinite isms, right? So what's indefinite? Like, give me an example of an indefinite noun. Babun, right? So if I have babun, what does that mean? A door, right? So if it's indefinite, it's going to have a or an. What if I want to say, what if I want to make it definite? What do I do? Al, not al babun, but al babu, right? So when you make something specific, like the door, you put an al in front of it, and you get rid of the tanween. Okay. So this is this is the thing when you're going from English to Arabic or Arabic to English. You need to know when something is definite or when it's indefinite. Okay. If it has al, that's one of the signs that it's definite. If it has tanween, most likely it's indefinite. What's the exception? If something has tanween but it's still definite. No. Names, right? So if I say Muhammadun, does that have tanween? Muhammadun, yes, right? Is it definite? Or is it indefinite? No, it's not indefinite, right? It's a specific person's name. So the exception to that is people's names, okay? But this was what we learned, bad one. And then we said by default, everything has dhammas, right? So when it's dhamma, there's three cases. What's it called? Marfu. And then you can change to a fatha, which case what's called mansub. And then you can also change to a kasra, which is called majhur, right? So we said these are the three cases that you know for marfu, mansub, and majhur. Okay. Um, all right. So shifting a little bit, the first lesson we did names of like ismu ishara. What if you want to talk about two things? If I want to say those are like that is two things, like a car and a house. Wow. Ooh, not hatani, similar to that. We learned it, I think, lesson 14 or something like that. So there's a dual form of hada and there's a dual form of hadihi, right? No, that's plural. It's like hatani, you said it. But instead of hatani, it's hadani. There you go. So this is singular. This is one. Okay. If I want to go to two, I'm going to say hadani. Hadani. So this is when there's two things. I can say hadani babun wa baytun. This is a house and this is a door and this is a house. Okay, so hadani is the dual form of hada. And then the dual form of, for feminine it's, Yusuf said it, hatani. Right? So you use that for dual form. I don't think we did for. I don't think they showed it for dhalika and tilka. Okay, so that's for that. And then for plural, what did we learn? Or like three or more. If I want to say these are, if I want to say these are students, what would I say? هؤلاء. Right? So هؤلاء طلاب. هؤلاء. And it's the same for men and for women, right? So you can say هؤلاء for طالبات and for طلاب. So هؤلاء is the same, okay? And then so that's هؤلاء are these are. But if I want to say those are men, those are women. أولئك, right? So that's أولئك. Okay, and it's the same for feminine. Right? أولئك النساء, أولئك الرجال. Okay. Okay, so that was pretty much اسم الإشارة. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. So anytime you have whatever follows these, this fi or min or ila or ala bihi an, it will be majur. The ism will be majur. Okay. So those are harf jar. We also did adverbs, which are like I was saying, tahta. What else? فوق. What else? قبل. بعد. Someone else. Someone else. أمام, not إمام. What's behind? خلف. What's what's أمام? Front. Okay. What's بعد? After. قبل. Before. فوق. Above. تحت. Under. What's with? مع. What's another one for with? عند. عند. With. So these are adverbs. Really, the rule for them is the same as harf jar mostly. That the noun that follows them is going to be in majrur form. Okay. I think that was basically all we did. I don't know if there was more. Okay. So pronouns. How many pronouns are there? 14, right? So who wants to sound them off? All of them. Stand alone. Paul. It's your punishment. Go ahead. Or just as many as you can. Mm-hmm. Good. Now second person, you. Anta. And then two of you. Antuma. And then three or more. Someone help him? Antum, right? So three or more is antum. So what's you female? Anti. Two of you female. Antuma. Antunna. What's I? Ana and we. Nahnu. Okay. How do you say those two, third person? Anyone? Huma, right? How do you say all of them, but they're all female? Hunna, right? How do you say all of them, male and female? Hum, right? How do you say you, but I'm talking to all women? I'm talking through like 10 women. Antunna, right? Antunna. Okay. So those are all the standalone pronouns that we did. So you have to know all of them, right? All right, everyone, let's do it together so that everyone can at least get it. Ready? Huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antun, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. One more time. Huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. Okay? Everyone remember that? It's very important, especially when we do verbs. All right. All right. So the other one was, so those were standalone pronouns. Then we also did attached pronouns, right? So attached pronouns are like the one of the most important things for the book. So how do you attach he to how do you attach first person male singular to a noun? No. Who? Right? You add just a ha with a lamma. Okay. What about uh, for two of them? Huma. Right. So the huma stays the same. What about for all of them? Hum. So you attach that with hum. And then for feminine singular, ha. And then huma. And then hunna. Right. And then for something of yours, I'm gonna say ka. And then two of yours, huma. And then for all of you, kum. And then yours female, ki, kuma, kunna. And then for mine, ya mutakallim. And then for ours, na. Right? So you can attach this to any noun. And then you will have possession, right? So this actually we should have done mudaf ilayhi before this, but you make mudaf ilayhi with any of these, and this will be your mudaf ilayhi. So how do you say my house? Bayti, right? So you take the word house and you just attach the first person bayti. Okay. How do you say their car? And it's talking about a group of men. Sayyaratuhum, right? So you take the sayyara and you take the third person plural and you say sayyaratuhum. How do you say our desk? Maktabuna. Maktabuna. So maktabuna. So you take the maktabuna. How do you say your chair? And I'm talking to one man. Kursiyuka. Okay, how do you say two of yours is knife? We haven't used that one word. We've learned it, but we haven't used it. How do you say knife? Sakin. Okay, so how do you say two of yours is knife? Sakinu kuma. Sakinu kuma, right? And it doesn't matter if it's male or female, one like male or female, right? How do you say your kitchen? I'm talking to a group of women. How do you say kitchen? Matbakh, right? So how do you say your kitchen, a group of women? Matbakhu kunna. So you use the kunna, okay? So you attach that to any noun. Also, you can attach it to any preposition, right? So how do you so attach ma'a to how do you say with me? Ma'i. Okay. How do you say in them, a group of men and women. Fihim, right? So what happens when you have a ya with a sukoon followed by one of these? The who changes to he, right? So this happens to these five only. Okay. So the ha doesn't change the same. Okay. So how do you say to her using the li? Laha. Why do you say la?
Because it's a noun.
No, the la, it's li usually, but when it's attached to these 14, it becomes la. Okay, so how do you say, except for the ya mutakallim, right? So that's still li. Okay, how do you say to us?
Lana.
Lana. How do you say to you, one man?
Lahu.
Oh, sorry, talking to one man.
Laka.
Laka. Right. So if it's second person you're addressing him, it's laka. If you're talking about someone, it's
Lahu.
lahu. Lahu. I know it's gonna just do the practice where you just do all 14 of them. So if I say, like what did we just write? Ala. Okay, so do all 14 with ala, brother ala.
Alayhi.
Alayhi, right? So again, you have ya with the sukoon, so it's usually ala with nothing on this ya, but when you attach something to it, this ya opens up and it gets a sukoon. Okay? So alay and then he. Then keep going.
Alayhima.
Alayhima.
Alayhim.
Alayhim.
Alayha.
Alayha.
Alaykuma.
Alay.
Alayki.
Saha.
Alaykini.
Huma. Huma. Saha. Alayhima.
Alayhima. Oh, sorry. Alayhima.
Alayhi.
Alayhinna.
Alayhinna. Okay, on you.
Alayka.
On you too.
Alaykuma.
On you all.
Alaykum.
Okay.
Alayki. Alaykuma. Alaykunna. Alay. Alayna.
Alayya. Alayya and then alayna. Okay. So on me and then on us. Okay. Attach it with min sister Shireen, all 14. With from him, yep. Good. hmm From you. From me. Min. So you attach the min, but there's a sukoon here and a sukoon here. So what happens is that the noon gets the sukoon and the kasra. Minni. Yeah. Minna again. So you attach so there's two noons. So minna. Okay. So basically, you can attach any of the prepositions, any of the adverbs to it too. You can say ma'ahu, ma'ahuma, ma'akum. Okay, tahtaha. That's in the Quran, right? So that's attached pronouns. Any questions? Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back in 3 minutes.
So is this exam oral?
Actually, I'll give the sheets out. So basically, for homework, I've given like a practice exam, um, and the actual evaluation will be like that. So instead, hold on, let me get this up.
Because I mean, it seems like our class is much more focused on grammar than writing. Are you getting settled? Getting settled in knowledge?
So it says practice or evaluation practice or whatever. So the actual evaluation is going to be like this, except it's instead of three. So there's in this one there's three Arabi to English and three English to Arabi. The actual evaluation will be 5 English to Arabi and 5 Arabi to English. Okay, so it'll be just like that, except 2 more questions for each section. So you'll just have to read it in Arabic, write it in English, and then read it in English and write it in Arabic.
What about like spelling errors?
I'll be lenient on those as long as I know what you're trying to spell. Um, but if it's really egregious, then it's not gonna.
Partial credit.
Yeah, partial credit.
Are we supposed to do this now?
So this will be basically take home. You don't have to. I'm not gonna take this one, but I think so. For Wednesday, We'll have we'll have the evaluation. You don't have to take it if you don't want to. You can just not show up on Wednesday. It's fine. But if you do show up, we're gonna do this thing. But and if you want me to, if you have any questions on this specific one, you can email me and I'll give you the answers. Actually, I'll send the answers out anyway, so that you can look at them and you can practice with them. So Wednesday when you come, if you come, then we're gonna do the evaluation exam, inshallah.
Are you gonna post the scores so we can see how everybody did?
You want everyone? You want to see how? You want to see how everyone did? I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, you can make it anonymous, like let us know.
I can post the highest score and the average. Oh, a ranking
You can
board.
just post the grades without us knowing who they are.
There's like 10 people in the class. Mm. You show up, right?
Yeah, I'm really good like talking in class and correcting other people, but when it comes to myself, it's pretty weak.
Yeah, so basically you can work on these ones, the practice ones, today and tomorrow, and then I'll send out the answers by email, inshallah. But
Those five pronouns that change from fatha to kasra when you add prepositions.
only when you add a ya mutakallim, or the other one was a kasra. So when you have something like be, so instead of be who, it's gonna be he. But it doesn't change for this one, so it's biha. And then it doesn't change for that one, it's bika. But it only changes for huma, huma, who, and hum.
Only B, P, E.
Yeah. So, but it could be with any, yeah. It's gonna change for nouns as well. Um,
I'm just trying to write the rules of what exactly.
so the rule is that anytime the these 14 pronouns are preceded or they come after a ya mutakallim or a kasra, then these five change from dhamma to kasra. Okay. What do we have left? Feminine, plural, mudaf, mudaf ilayhi, adjective, noun, verb.
Are we
So-
gonna just review today?
We're gonna try to, but basically, if not, I would say that what you should review is the vocab in the back, and then you can do the Quizlet too. I think that would be better. So I would say review the vocab. So this test, obviously, as you can see, is not about grammar or analysis. It's just you understanding what you're reading and knowing what the word is. Right? If you don't know how to say car in Arabic, you're not gonna get the point for writing sayyara. Okay, so just review the vocab. This test, the evaluation is mostly going to be about you able to write, you know, write it in a pretty simple way. Okay, I didn't make it grammatical and all that stuff. And I think this book only has like 100 vocab words. It's not that bad.
It'd be cool if they had all the vocabs like this in one page.
They do, but it's in the third book. I think if you look in the back of the third book, you'll see all of the vocab.
But that would have much more.
But it would have the second and third book, yes.
Book one also there is all the vocabularies
Where?
are listed together.
Really?
Okay, that's good.
What website?
It's the same website. I can send you the link.
Okay, yeah, send it to me.
You can send it out to everyone.
Yeah.
So this one, the cat of the boy is in the room on the bed.
Yes.
I was like, well, that is.
No, I was gonna say I mean, you can say the boy's cat. It makes more sense in English, but if you write it out in Arabic, I made it right exactly how you would write it in Arabic. Okay. All right, so let's get back to. We only have a few topics. They're not that much. So feminine nouns. Okay. How do you make something feminine? Adata marbuta, right? So if I have Muslim, for most cases, if I have Muslimun and I want to, so this is a male Muslim, right? A Muslim, okay? But if I want to say a Muslima, a female Muslim, what am I gonna do to the last letter?
Make it fatha.
Put a fatha on it, right? So I'm gonna take the two tanweens off, make a fatha, and then add a ta marbuta, right? So I add a ta marbuta, and it automatically assumes, it becomes feminine, okay? Um, what about a teacher? How do you say a female? How do you say male teacher? Ustadun or mudarrisun. How do you make it feminine? Or make it feminine? Ustadatun or mudarrisatun. Right. So you just put a fatha on the last letter, and then add a ta marbuta. Okay, that's basically it. Okay, so going to plurals. I have Muslimun and I have Muslimatun. Okay, there's two ways to make plurals, right? The first way is called the sound plural or sound masculine plural, and it follows the same rule. So what do I do to make this plural? Add a for Muslimun. I want to say a group of Muslims. Wow and noon, right? So I add a wow noon. So I say Muslimuna. So if I add an una to anything, I'm going to make it plural, assuming that it's masculine in the first place. Muslimuna. How do I say doctor? Actually, doctor is different, but you can actually make it for anyone, right? Make the nabiyun plural. Nabiyuna, okay, and then make. Oh man. What was the other one I was thinking of? Let's say I said fa'il. Fa'il is just someone who does something. So make it plural. Fa'ilun, right? So add a wow and a noon, so you just make it plural. Okay. And then the simple rule for feminine is what? What do I add to make it plural? I take the ta marbuta off. Atun. So I put an alif and a regular ta. Atun. So no ta marbuta, but there is an alif ta, a regular ta to make it plural, right? So how do I say female students? Talibat, right? How do I say female nurses? How do I say nurse? Mumarridatun. Okay, so now make it plural. Mumarridatun. So you just add alif and a ta. understood.
What is, I'm actually confused with Muslimuna.
Mhm.
Um, so why is that, how is that different than adding a tuna?
How is that different than what?
Adding the tuna like we just did for.
So this is for masculine and this is for feminine. So for a sound masculine plural, you add an una.
Okay.
For
I
sound
thought you, I'm sorry.
feminine,
I
you
thought you were
add
saying that
that.
is feminine.
No,
Because we're on feminine, I guess.
But this is for masculine. Okay,
Yeah.
but how do I make? So there's two ways for masculine. There's this way, which is adding an una. Then there's also the broken way, which is the all those patterns, right? So what's the plural for tajirun? Tujarun, right? So you have all of those patterns. I think I don't know what lesson. Tujarun. So this is the pattern of fu'al, right? Um, so there's going to be different words, and every word is going to have a different pattern of the plural. What's the plural for masjidun? Masajidun, right? Masajidun. So the pattern is mafa'ilun. Masajidun. Okay. So that lesson, I forget which one it is, but go to the back of that lesson and see all of those patterns, and it will give you the idea of all. So these are called broken.
How about the gyrophone? Like a cars.
How about what?
Gyrophone. That means cars. Plural. Sayaratu.
So sayyaratun is a feminine noun, right? Female noun. So how do you make female nouns plural? You add an atun. Sayyaratun. So that with feminine nouns it's easy because you just add an alif ta, you're done. But for the masculine nouns, you have to figure out, okay, is it sound or is it broken? Okay. And then if it's broken, then you have to figure out what pattern it falls under.
What if it's just dual, like only two cars?
Okay, how do you say two Muslims? Muslimani, right? So if I want to make something dual, I'm going to add an alif noon with a kasra. Muslimani. Okay? And then what if I want to say two Muslimat? Muslimatun. Okay, how do I make Muslimatun dual? Muslimatani. So I'm going to take this ta off, ta marbuta off, put a regular ta, alif noon. Muslimatani. That's dual. Okay?
So it'd be Siyaratani.
Sayyaratani, two cars. Okay, two watches.
Sa'atani.
Sa'atani. Okay, two houses. Baytani. Right, so it's just that it ends with a ta. So, okay, that's plural. Mudaf, mudaf ilayhi, right? That was way back. Very simple stuff. How do I say the pen of the principal? Qalamu al-mudiri. The principal is mudir, right? So where is the mudaf? Qalamu is the mudaf, and then the mudaf ilayhi is. Okay. So what did we say? What was the rule for the mudaf? Cannot have al, right? No al. Okay. And then what was the rule for the mudaf ilayhi? Must in or more generally? Majroor. It's going to be majroor. Okay. So and then it's also definite. Okay, it's also definite. How do I say Sayyid's car? Sayyaratu Sayyid. Sayyidi. It's majroor, right? So that's basically mudaf ilayhi. And then we sort of did a little bit of chained mudaf ilayhi, like the pen of the principal of the school. But we're not going to do that right now. Yeah. All right. How much time? We have 5 minutes. Okay, adjective. So if I want to say a cheap watch. Yes. How do I say that?
I forget what it is.
What? How do you say watch?
Yeah, ساعة.
ساعة. How do you say watch? I mean, sorry. How do you say cheap? رخيص. How do you say expensive? Oh, actually, yeah, we didn't get that. So رخيص. Is this right?
Yes.
Who says it's right?
No, it's wrong
Why is it wrong?
because it's not matching in gender.
It's not matching in gender, right? So four things have to match with. So if I'm saying cheap watch, this is my adjective. What does adjective have to match with the noun?
Gender,
Gender,
definiteness,
definiteness, plurality,
case.
and case. Okay. So instead of sa'atun rakhisun, I'm gonna say rakhisatun, right? Because I have to match the gender. So I'm gonna say rakhisatun. Okay. What if it was the cheap watch? So I would put al over here, and then what would I have to do to rakhisatun?
I'll drop one of the numbers.
So I'm gonna add an as-sa'atu ar-rakhisatu. Okay. As-sa'atu ar-rakhisatu. And then what if it was as-sa'ata? What would happen to ar-rakhisatu? It would be ar-rakhisata. Okay. So you just make that change every time you have an adjective. Okay. That numbers. What are all the numbers? All right, let's go. One. واحد. واحد. Two. اثنان. Three. ثلاثة. Four. أربعة. Five. خمسة. Six. ستة. Seven. سبعة. Eight. ثمانية. Nine. تسعة and 10. عشرة. Okay, those are numbers. We did a few verbs. What's to go? Or sorry, he went.
ذهب.
Okay, what's he returned?
رجع.
رجع. Okay, how do what's he sat?
جلس.
He wrote.
كتب.
كتب. What's I love?
أحب.
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 How do you say how do you say I need? I want. أريد.
أريد.
So you put أريد. And أحب and أريد, these are both present tense. So don't worry about that. We're going to get into it. I love and I want. But the rest of these are past. Right? And then we also did, how do you say I saw in the past tense?
رأيت.
Right. And then we also did a little bit of if something is in the past tense and you want to make it feminine. So how do you say she went?
ذهبت.
ذهبت, right? You add a ta to it. ذهبت. And then she returned.
رجعت.
رجعت. Right? جلست, she sat. كتبت, she wrote. Okay. Last one, colors. What's black?
أسود.
أسود. Okay, what's red? أحمر, yellow.
أصفر.
أصفر, green.
أخضر.
أخضر, blue. أزرق. And then white. أبيض. أبيض. Okay. So I think there's some things I don't think we got to, but if you have any questions or just if you need some tutoring tomorrow or whatever, I can be online. Just let me know. But inshallah, if you are gonna do the test, then come on Wednesday. We'll just do that and then we'll be done. So basically, it'll be this same paper that you get, except it'll be five, or basically 10 questions instead of 6.
And then when you gonna start the next class?
The week after that.
The same class?
Book two?
Yeah, book 2. Yes.
What to?
Yeah.
Next book.
Um,